Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer.com. Today we have our Kurt Hitch installed on our Sienna. Now one of my favorite things about this hitch is how hidden it is. The only thing you're going to see is a receiver tube. Another thing I really like about it is that it doesn't sit too far back. It's going to be almost flush with our bumper, which that means it's going to give us plenty of clearance for any folding style accessories you might be using. This is a class 3 hitch, so it's going to utilize that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. It's also going to have a reinforced collar for extra strength. It is going to utilize a 5/8 standard size pin and clip, which if you need one, you can pick it up on etrailer.com. Another thing I like about it is that our safety chain loops are really exposed, and so what that's going to mean is we're not going to have any trouble getting just about any size safety chain hook that we might be using on our hitch. This hitch is going to have a 525-pound maximum tongue weight. So what that means is the amount of weight pushing down on our receiver tube opening. It's also going to have a 3,500-pound maximum gross trailer weight rating. That's going to be the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So that's the weight of your trailer plus anything you might have on it. Now it's always a good idea to check with your vehicle's owner's manual to make sure your Toyota can handle that much weight. Kurt also requires for all non-trailer loads to use stabilizing straps. If you need some of those, you can find them on etrailer.com. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements. These are going to help you when determining which hitch-mounted accessories to use. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening is about 11 3/4 of an inch. You're going to use that measurement when deciding whether to get a ball mount with either a rise or a drop. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of a rear bumper is about 4.5 inches. You're going to use that measurement when figuring out if any of your folding accessories can be stored in the upright position without making contact with your bumper. Now that we went over some of the features, let's show you how to get it installed. To begin our install, we're going to need to remove this plastic splash guard. Now there's going to be a few different style fasteners holding it in place. We're going to go ahead and remove these ones first. There's going to be 8 of these white pushpin style fasteners all along the front edge of the splash guard. To get them out, you can use a trim panel removal tool like this, or even a flathead screwdriver can do the trick as well. Just pry underneath the white head of it, pull down, and then it'll pop right out. Now here towards the bumper, there's going to be 5 10mm screws that we're going to need to remove. Now finally, there's going to be 4 fasteners like this. The best way to get these out is with a Phillips head screwdriver, and they can be kind of tricky sometimes, so what I found that works good is to, while you're spinning it, actually kind of put some light pressure pulling down on the splash guard, and it'll pop free like that. Once we have it removed, we can just set it off to the side for now. Now eventually we're going to need to pull our bumper back a little bit to make enough room to get our hitch up in there. Well, what's going to make that a little bit easier is if we remove these fasteners that hold our bumper cover to the wheel wells. So we're going to have one over here on the driver's side. And to get it, use a flathead screwdriver or trim panel tool. And they're very similar to the white fasteners that we removed earlier. You just pry down on the center portion of it and get behind it and pull downward. Now we're going to repeat that process on the other side, except there's going to be 2 of them same fasteners. We're going to need to lower our exhaust down, but before we do that, I like to use a strap, and I put it on each spring on each side of our van, and tighten it up a little bit. That way when we do lower the exhaust, it can be controlled and won't fall down on us. To lower it, we're going to have to remove 3 rubber isolators just like this. One here by the tailpipe, and one right here, as well as right here. Now the trick I like to use is to use some spray lubricant and soak the rubber isolator down. That way it makes it a little easier to pry off. I'm just going to use a pry bar and get it off just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that for the 2 remaining hangers. Now here on the frame rail, we're going to have 1 rubber plug and 3 black stickers. We're going to need to remove those. To get the plug out, you just take a flathead or a trim panel tool, just pop it on out. Now the stickers you can just scrape away with the flathead. Now the other side is exactly the same. So once we have all these removed and clean, we'll go ahead and repeat that same process. And keep in mind, anything from this point on, if we do to one side, we'll do to the other. Now that our mounting locations are exposed, it's a good idea to clean the threads out. I'm just going to use a little lubricant and a tube brush to clean it out. If you need one of these, you can find it on etrailer.com. Now the instructions tell us to remove our rear bumper. However, I found a way to get our hitch installed that saves us a lot of time. And what we're going to do is, along here, there's going to be 2 tabs just like this. What we're going to do is actually bend those flat. And when we do this, we got to be really careful because they're just glued on. So what I like to do is take something to hold and put pressure on this top portion. And with a pair of pliers, just carefully work it down flat. Now before we put our hitch into place, I'd like to point out what kind of hardware we're going to be using. It's all going to be just like this. So what we're going to do is take our bolt and conical tooth washer, then we'll put that through the hitch and screw this into the frame. Now you do want to be sure that the teeth and the conical tooth washer always face the hitch. So like this. Now with an extra set of hands, we can put our hitch into place. When we get it in here, we're actually going to have to kind of pull back on our bumper cover a little bit. Kind of fish the hitch up in there. And we'll line up our holes in the hitch with the mounting locations in our frame and get one of our bolts started. Now we're going to want to get 1 bolt on each side hand tight. That way the hitch will support itself while we're working on the rest of the hardware. With all of our hardware hand tight, we can go ahead and snug it all up. With all of our hardware snugged up, we can then use a torque wrench to torque it all down to the proper specification. Now you can find that torque spec in your instructions. With our hitch all torqued down, we can rebend our tabs back straight. So hold pressure on the top. And carefully pry it up like that. Now we can rehang our exhaust the same way that we took it down. Let's push up on it. Just push it back on. Well, once all of our hangers are up, we can go ahead and remove our safety strap. What we would do next is trim our underbody panel. That way we can put it back into place without hitting our hitch. Now per the instructions, we would trim in this area right here all the way up. Now you can always cut more off, so what I like to do is cut as little as possible off and put it up into place and then trim accordingly if we need to take any more off. Now for video purposes, we're going to go ahead and pass on this step. Now once you have your panel trimmed, you just reinstall it in the opposite order that we removed it. And that'll do it for our look at an installation of the Curt Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver on our 2014 Toyota Sienna.